Hey friends, it's Miss D from the Trenton Free Public Library. Today's activity is all about eggs, eggs, eggs. I'm going to show you two science experiments that you can do using ingredients that you might have around the house or that you can easily get from the supermarket. One of the things we're going to need is 2 eggs. Before we get started, I figured I'd show you where I get my eggs from. So these are my chickens. I have 5 of them. The light brown one on the right hand side, her name is Buffy. And she's a Buff Orpington. She lays brown eggs. Then over here, the brownish one that's pecking on the ground, that's Maggie. She's an Easter egger. She's very similar to this one. This is Hermione. She's also an Easter egger, and they're called that because they lay green eggs. The one that just came in front, let's see if I can move around, this one over here, she's Floppy Elsa, we call her. And she is a brown leghorn, and she lays white eggs. And then finally, the black and white striped one is called a barred rock. And her name, of course, is Rocky. And Rocky lays brown eggs also. So here they are, they're wandering around my backyard. Something we call free ranging, which means that they're not locked up. They're free to go wherever they want to go. But they usually sleep and live in a coop in my backyard in an old shed. So give me a minute and we'll go and visit there. Here we are in their coop. Like I said, this is where they come to sleep at night. Over here on the right hand side, these bars, this is called the roost. Chickens don't like to sleep on the ground. They don't feel safe. So if they're out in the wild, they like to fly up to a branch in a tree. So this is kind of mimicking what they would experience out in the wild. So they like to sleep usually on the top one, all snug together. Just makes them feel safe, out of the way of any animals that might want to attack them. And here on the left-hand side, we have their nesting boxes. So here is where they lay their eggs. Let's see. You can see that they're lined with pine bedding, kind of the same material that you would use for guinea pigs or rabbits. And here we go. Here we have some eggs. Oh. And we have, let's see if I can grab some. Here is a white egg. And as you can see, we've got a couple of green ones and two brown ones. So I'm just going to need 2 of these for our experiment. Oh, here they are. Kind of wondering, came in to see what we're doing in here. There is a window that leads to the outside. Come follow me and I'll show you where it goes. So that window leads to this enclosed outside area called a run. And it's called a run because if you can see, it's wide enough that the chickens have some room to run around and fly a little bit in. And there's the window that leads to the coop. As you can see, it's covered in hardware cloth. It's kind of like chicken wire, but shorter. That's so that no animals can get in and attack them at night. And they've got another roost there. All right, so that's our chickens and my chicken house. So let's go back in and let's get started on the experiments. Hey again. So before we start, I just wanted to suggest that if you like doing science experiments, you might want to start keeping a science observation journal. Now this could be any sort of notebook that you have laying around the house, or it could also just be pieces of paper that you use and then you can staple them together. I made a sample of one right here. It's just on a piece of loose leaf paper, and I just wrote down the title of the experiment and the date that I did it on. And then I have some things here. Question. What question do you want to answer? For example, what happens when the thing that you're going to do the experiment on? The hypothesis, or what do you think will happen? Materials that you need. The method, which means what directions did you follow to do your experiment? And observation. What did you notice when you did it? All right, so let's get started with our naked egg experiment. So these are the things you're going to need. You're going to need 2 clear glasses so that you can see through. You're going to need a spoon, 2 eggs, any color, and just some plain white vinegar from your house. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your egg, using your spoon, you're going to carefully put it in the cups. Now the cups can be any size. And then you're going to take your vinegar and you're going to carefully pour it into the glass until your egg is completely covered. And then you're going to put them aside in a safe place and let it sit for 24 hours. Now, after the first 30 minutes, I want you to look and see what's happening with your egg, and then you can write it down on your observation journal. Check it every 30 minutes, every hour or two for the first, 12 hours or so, and you'll see some cool things happening. So what will happen after 24 hours, hopefully, I'll show you. These are 2 eggs that I put in 24 hours ago, and you're going to see, hopefully you can see on the video, that the shell has disintegrated, it's dissolved, and you're kind of left with a rubbery egg like this. Here's the other one. Now you might have some slime on it. You can just rinse it under water and just rub that off a little bit. All right, so that's what should happen after 24 hours. So if you give me a minute, I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna set up for our next experiment. Okay, so it's been 24 hours and you now have your naked egg, both of them. And I'm gonna show you something else that we're gonna do with them. It's called growing and shrinking eggs. And again, you're gonna need 2 glasses, clear, so you can see what's going on, your 2 naked eggs, and you're going to need something called Caro light corn syrup. Now, if you don't have this around the house, you can get this at your local supermarket. And you're also going to need just a plain old glass of water, regular tap water. Now, if you look at your naked egg, it's kind of rubbery, but it's also you can actually see the egg yolk inside. But if you look at the outside of it, it's permeable. That means that it has pores that small molecules of water and other items can pass through it. All right, so here, what we're going to do is you're going to take your eggs and you're going to put 1 in each of your glasses. And then in 1 egg, now I want you to remember which one is which, although you'll be able to tell because the liquids are so different. You'll pour water into 1 of them until it's completely covered. And then in your other glass, you're going to pour the Caro corn syrup in it until that's completely covered. That's going to take a while. Caro corn syrup is really thick. There you go. And again, you're going to set it aside someplace safe where it won't be disturbed for 24 hours. And I want you to come back regularly, like every hour or so, and record your observations in your science journal. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. You'll have to see what happens to your eggs. And I'd love it. I'm going to have the comments on. So if you do this experiment, if you want to leave a comment under the video, let me know what happened to the egg in the water and what happened to the egg in the Caro syrup. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoy the experiments and we'll see you soon.